Hi and welcome to Two Wheels, and in just a moment I'll be getting my hands dirty in the workshop. I'll show you how easy it is to fit a new drive chain to your machine. Also on the show this week, Jeff takes a look at 3 bikes which all bear the same name, which first appeared way back in the 1950s. I'm talking of course about Enfield, and we'll have more chat from our motorcycle paramedic from Sheffield, Rob Gorringe. Now, if you're putting your bike back onto the road for the summer and it's been stood a long time, it's been stored up for the winter, then there's a few things that you should check before you take out on the road. And one of the most important things is the chain. In this case, it wasn't done. So we've pulled it out of the garage and it's gone stiff. There are tight spots all over it. It's basically gone rusty. It's just an absolute mess. What will happen now if we attempt to ride this bike is, first of all, it will wreck the sprockets. It will chew all the teeth up on the sprockets. Worse than that, it might even snap, wind itself around the front sprocket, wreck the engine, and worse still, it could actually pitch me off as I'm riding it. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to replace the chain. We're going to actually put this on it. Look at that, a pretty red chain. This is an EK chain from a company called Lintec Gleave. They're the only people who do coloured chains like this. They do them in reds, blues, greens. I think they do a yellow as well. So we thought we'd stick that on because it looks a bit different. So first job is we need to get rid of this horrible old chain. Something wrong with these gloves. There you go, we're on. We're on now, stop firing. Now you're probably wondering what I'm doing with this on. I'm supposed to be wearing goggles, you see, and this is Gary's workshop, my mate Gaz's workshop. I can't find anything, Gary's not here, so I've nicked one of his old helmets, a bit of eye protection, because I'm going to use this grinding wheel. You can get a tool to remove the old chain, to get one of the old links out, but it's a lot quicker and it's just as easy to use this. The chain is knackered anyway, so I'm not going to knacker things up anymore. Only thing you've got to be careful of here, we're going to grind the top off 2 pins there, and then we're going to drive the link out. Things to watch, make sure that doesn't hit your swing arm, doesn't catch your chain guard, your tyre or anything else. So let's give it a go. Right, that's done the job. What we've done there, all I've done is basically, I've ground off the top of those 2 pins. So it's nice and shiny now, nice flat surface. That will now flip off that side plate and then we'll be able to push the link out. So it just needs a little bit of gentle persuasion. There we go, we're almost there now. A little bit more, that'll pop off. And we'll be able to just push the link out. There you go. Right then, so here we go. All we need to do now is push that link out. There it comes out, nice and simple. And there is the chain now undone, ready to come off the bike. But we're not going to pull it off the bike, because if we pull it off, we're not going to get the new one round the front sprocket down there, because we can't actually get to the front sprocket. So we're going to connect the new one to this here, to the top run of this chain here. We're just going to put the link through, put the pin through, and then we'll pull it round, thread it through, so it's in position. There we are, there's the new one coming through behind the old one, so we'll get that horrible old chain out of the way. We'll pull that through now. This is where we discover whether or not we've been supplied with the right length of chain, and as you can see, absolutely perfect there. So now it's a case of riveting this new one together. And for that we need this. This is the connecting link. What I've done here is I've greased the actual surface of the inside of the plate there, and it's got little O-rings on it there, new O-rings fitted. So that goes in from the back. Then it's a case of tightening it up, and that will push the outer plate on. What we need then is this. This is a heavy duty whacker, a chain maker or whatever you want to call it. borrowed from my very friendly local bike shop. So if you've got a bike shop that you're on good terms with, they might let you borrow one of these, or they may even rent them out or whatever. What we do, that fits on there. There's a little recess in the back there, so that goes there, and that pin sits in that recess. Then it's a case of inserting the centre pin and picking a reference point which you need to set at 12 o'clock. There you go, 3. That'll do that. You don't need to go mad. 3 o'clock now. Each link, of course, has 2 pins, so we'll move the tool and repeat the process. That should do the job. Take that out, back that off. And there we go, look at that. A beautiful link with the ends nicely bashed over. You can't tell the difference between that and the factory fitted one. Perfect.
Once upon a time, when Great Britain still ruled half the world, there was a famous motorcycle called the Royal Enfield. Made like a gun was its slogan, and Bullet was its name. First off, you've got to remember this is a different sort of bike. It weighs the same as a 600 Bandit, but produces a quarter of the power. Performance is just not an issue. 0 to 60 is measured by an egg timer, not a stopwatch. But somehow it doesn't matter. The empire wasn't built in a day, so why worry? And here we are in 2002, and you can still buy a brand new Bullet. The empire might have gone, but the Royal's still here, and the bikes are still here. Peter Rivers Fletcher, of Watsonian Squire sidecar fame, certainly doesn't, because he sells them. So who to, Peter? Who buys an Enfield these days?
They're people who remember these and recognise them as real motorcycles, and so they tend to be over 40, which is a great age group. There's more of them about these days.
The old Silver Surfers, is this it?
Sort of, yes, I think, if you want to put it like that, yes.
And so these are people, are they harking back to the youth? They're more familiar with that sort of bike? Are they the typical born again, in other words?
They are born again bikers, and there are a lot of them about now. They're not necessarily motorcyclists today. They're people who've got motorcycle licenses and they're looking for some fun and a bit of nostalgia, and these machines certainly provide that.
Right, can you just run through the range for me? Because I've been out on one or two, as you know, today, and so what is the range you're actually doing? Because it's far wider than I thought.
Okay, well, there's the 350 and 500cc brackets, so we have the same machine in different capacities.
And they're both called Bullets?
Yeah, they're all Bullets,
yeah.
and then and they are touring bikes, normal motorcycles, and then here we convert those machines into a cafe racer, which we have here, and also a traily trials type look-alike. They're basically the same machines. We do a lot of preparation on the bikes here, and that's what we make to convert them to something quite different.
Yes, because the Cafe Racer one, really, you've got an authentic style there, very much as the Gold Star of the late 50s and early 60s, haven't you?
Absolutely, yes. We've tried very hard to make it absolutely authentic to that period, and it sounds terrific, absolutely great.
And so, so you get the leather jackets, the Ogre Brigade buying those, do you?
No, not at all. No, this isn't a sort of alternative biking. This is for somebody who seriously wants something that they can buy new, brand new, with a 12-month warranty. Which is much safer than spending more money, because these are not expensive.
No, I was going to come on to that. You're obviously in business, it's a big part of your business, and these sell amazingly well. Give us some idea of the sort of sales that you get.
Well, last year we did over 430 bikes, which is we think is very good going, and this year it looks as though we're going to be doing well over 500, maybe 600 machines.
The 500cc Bullet represents the archetypal big British single of 50 years ago. Strangely enough, it doesn't feel that old, but it's in a different league to the modern 600 Jap 4. But that misses the point. This is a back-to-basics bike, a simple, docile machine that'll potter along as life itself used to do. It feels solid and dependable. You have to recalibrate yourself to less powerful brakes and grandfather clock revs, but after all, this is for those who want to escape the rat race, not join it. Now, for you youngsters out there who've only ever heard of Kickstarters and you associate that with kickstarting the economy, this is a kickstart for real. This is a motorbike kickstart. There it is, little fold-out lever there. All you need to do, you've got to turn the engine over, and so 500cc single, you're okay if you've got big legs like me, but some people can struggle. Pull the clutch in first, because that frees up the clutch plates. and then you can just keep that down easy. It's not turning the engine over. Turn the ignition on, which of course it's got not electronic ignition, but it's not a magneto, it's got coil ignition. Then one hefty kick. There we go. That was easy, wasn't it? Piece of cake. But if you don't think you can manage that, this one is their latest model. It's got an electric starter. There it is down there, a little Japanese electric motor. So that'll equally start it dead easy if I just press the old button. Look at that, even easier. So no excuse if Kickstarters put you off. Something else, if you're new to biking, the gear change always used to be on the other side in the days of British bikes. This one's no different. Little 4-speed Albion gearbox or an Albion derived gearbox. It's even got a little lever there to actually help you select neutral. But look at the length of that lever. And you need that because this is a very robust gearbox. Unlike the modern Japanese bikes, you can just sneak through the gears. This one needs a fair old stab at it. And the other thing is, the gear changes the other way around. It's 1 up and 3 gears down. So if you're new to it and used to Japanese bikes, you've got to watch it. The 500S Clubman harks back to the days of the rockers with a big alloy tank, drop bars, rear sets and a very distinctive BSA Gold Star type silencer, a sort of ugly rides again bike. It's a handmade conversion of the standard bike, but those simple changes give it a completely different feel. The sound is probably 80% of it, but that silencer does allow freer breathing and the change riding position makes the illusion complete. Of course, back in the days of the Empire, Royal Enfield used to be made in Redditch. They aren't made there anymore. In fact, they're made in India. So what are we doing here down in the Cotswolds? Well, this is where Peter's got his business. This is where he assembles the bikes from the crates and also makes his own special editions. And he's over here. We'll have a word.
So they're going to go above that.
Peter, excuse me. Well, I suppose you better carry on if you're doing something important or you just... No. Peter, just take us through... what you do here, you're actually, the bikes are crated up as they come to you?
They come in crates and then we take them out and we inspect them very, very carefully. We check them over, we make any adjustments that we feel are necessary, except where we're making, like this one here, which is the trials type,
yeah,
where we do all our own modifications. So that takes a very much longer time. We move lots of components around, change the position of things, change the tank, etc., etc. So with something like this, there's a lot of our work that goes into it. But the standard bikes come in and we just make sure they go out absolutely tip top. And we've tested them, we've run them, we've done everything.
Yeah, and I know when we were chatting earlier, I was actually asking you about this quality business, because I know some people have the sort of impression that Enfields all that are a bit iffy, but things have come on a hell of a lot, haven't they?
In the last 3 years, the quality and consistency has improved absolutely dramatically, and this was because the company were taken over by an engineering group that put in the investment in those aspects. So what we have now is a bike that's tremendously different to what it used to be. That reliability is one of the reasons they're selling so well.
Excellent, and so it's all but homegrown other than that then, so your cafe race and the trials one, yep, all done here, and so this is it, the centre of the universe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Many years ago, the Royal Enfield 350T was a hot trials iron, the bike to have. This one, however, is a special conversion of a standard Bullet, and while it doesn't pretend to be the real McCoy, it certainly looks the part. Obviously no threat to Dougie Lampkin, but good for a bit of off-road fun for all that. It's got a big 21-inch front wheel for better steering, a proper sump bash plate and fully sprung single seat. Well, that's it. That's a quick look at Royal Enfield. So let's just run through them. You can have the 500 Bullet complete with electric start, but a kickstarter if you want to just exercise your right leg. Or you can have the 350, an identical bike, but 350cc, funnily enough. Or you can have the Trials Iron. This was really good fun. Perhaps you wouldn't think it looks a bit quaint, but it's quite a house. And it'll do the job if you're not seriously into trials, but just want some fun. Or you could have this, sort of an Ogre look-alike. If you follow the Ogre cartoon, this is the sort of bike that he's into, the Cafe Racer. This is the 500 Bullet Clubman. It sounds nice, it gives you a different feeling to the whole bike, even though it's basically the same, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. Now these bikes, I'll have to admit, they're not really for me, but I must say they brought a smile to my face, and I can see the attraction.
And what a nice collection of bikes they were, and good to see Jeff getting stuck in with a bit of off-roading there. We had to send him on that assignment, of course, because I'm far too young to remember those bikes first time round. Ha, only joking, Jeff. Join us again after the break when I'll be giving you some advice on how to look after your brand new chain, and we'll have some chat from our motorcycle paramedic. Welcome back to Two Wheels, and before we go across to Sheffield to meet our motorcycle paramedic, here's some advice on how to look after that brand new chain. Earlier in Two Wheels I was faced with this horrible rusty chain which we replaced with a lovely new one. Well, to make sure we're not faced with the same problem in the future, we need to look after the new chain. You know, I think I could almost make a mechanic one day. Well, almost anyway, but the job was made easier because I had the right tools for the job, things like that there, borrowed from my local friendly bike dealer. Get the right tool for the job, as we're always telling you, it will make life a lot easier. All I need to do now, of course, is tension the chain with the little adjusters on the back, tighten the back spindle up and all that, and jobs are good 'un. If you've got a new chain on your bike, look after it. If you've not got a new chain, look after the chain you've got. Otherwise, you'll finish up with the same problem as I had, and it will cost you a fortune, or it could cost you a fortune to put it right. Here we have a whole host of things that will help you to look after your chain. All sorts of different lubricants and all sorts. There's a gel there, titanium jelly it is, or tit gel as we call it in the trade. But there's all sorts there, all different things. Things for clear chains, things for coloured chains, O-ring chains, non-O-ring chains. It's a massive world change. If you're not sure, go into your shop, ask for some advice, ask the lads behind the counter, they know best. Little one at the end there, you could stick that in your pocket, couldn't you? Put it under your seat or whatever, so if you're going out for a long ride, the weather's bad, you've got something to lubricate your chain with, do it on the move. Speaking of which, things like this, which we've all seen before, that's a touring kit with a great big reservoir like that goes behind your number plate. So if you're doing thousands of miles, that will help preserve and prolong the life of your chain. Some people would say that Scott oilers only actually lubricate one side of your chain. Well, they've addressed the problem because they've got this now, a dual injector, and as you can see there quite clearly, goes down both sides of your chain. All those there are all aerosols. Trouble with an aerosol is you get a can that big and only half of it really, or 2/3 of it, is full of the product. The rest is propellant. So there are other things like this. This does the same thing. It's one that you actually squeeze on yourself. It's not an aerosol, not a propellant, but it does the same job, £4 odd. There's all sorts, tons and tons of stuff to look after your chain. So there we go. Job is finished. All we want now is a bit of sunshine. Time now to rejoin Rob Gorringe, our motorcycle paramedic in Sheffield. Rob tells us about the advantages of using a bike in his job and also talks us through some of the kit that he carries on his Pan-European. There must be huge advantages to using a bike in your job.
Yeah, in Sheffield, especially at rush hour times, traffic's just log jammed. Right. So obviously with the bike, we've got a big advantage getting through traffic.
Are there any disadvantages of a bike, apart from the obvious weather?
No, not really. We carry as much gear as I would require, being a paramedic, to treat people on scene, sustain life, and until the ambulance backs us up. Right.
So, well, let's talk about the bike then. Pan-European.
Yep.
Looks a bit like a police bike.
It is. It's a Pan-European police spec bike.
Oh, is it? Right.
Yeah.
So you get mistaken for a policeman.
Yes.
Very often.
Quite often.
All right. So the kit that you carry, what sort of kit do you carry? You've got.
We've got the full pannier kit. This side is the bag that we use most of the time. In it we've got sort of oxygen and a full drug pack and oxygen masks and bandages and dressings and everything like that.
Right.
Okay, so when we get to a job, we'll just whip the pannier down and take that in with us.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the other side, if I could move around here. This bag, luckily we don't use this as often because this is a bag which deals with people who are in cardiac arrest.
All right.
Okay, so there's a defibrillator which shocks a heart back into a rhythm.
That's the jump start kit,
That's
is it?
correct, yeah.
Right, yeah, okay.
We've got bag and masks and we've got an advanced airway kit there to secure an advanced
that's serious
airway.
stuff, isn't it?
That's serious stuff, yeah.
So if I'm lying on the road and you get that bag out, I'm obviously not very well.
You're in trouble.
Right, okay. So you flip your panniers up and
Yeah.
you can grab both the bags, can't you, and leg it to the...
That's correct, yeah.
to
Just
the
one
thing.
bag in each hand and straight in.
What's in here then?
Okay. In the top is that's a paediatric kit with specialist paediatric, for kids.
Neck
obviously.
brace type stuff and all that.
That's a neck brace, yeah, for people that have been in road accidents and what have you. And then we've got in here we've got drips. All right, if you want to put a drip up.
All right.
Okay, and lots of needles and cannulas and things.
Blimey.
All right, and then in there, that's the electronic gizmos behind the satellite navigation system.
That's a CD? You don't have the Bee Gees on there as you're going down. What is it?
Much as I would like to.
CD player, that.
It's a CD-ROM drive for the satellite navigation.
Oh, you've got sat-nav on this?
We have, yes.
Have you?
We've got a nice young lady that tells us where we're going.
So she taught you into the job and all that through your headset?
Yeah, she'll say in 300 metres turn left, 200 metres turn right, etc.
In 50 metres turn left, and you're doing 85 mile an hour with your blue lights on?
Yeah, we have a problem then, don't we?
You do have a problem, right. So, I mean, can I ask you this? As a biker, you must get sent to bike incidents, to a bike crash.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're quite near the Snake Pass and the Woodhead, and we do get a lot of, in the summertime especially, obviously.
That must bring it home to you, that. Being a biker as well.
Yeah, it's a strange feeling riding to a job,
imagine.
knowing that that biker's hurt at the other side.
Right, I see.
It's quite strange.
You must have had some special training for this, have you?
Yeah, we had a selection process, which South Yorkshire Police were heavily involved in. And we had to have been riding for so long, and we had to have an interview and everything else. And then an assessment. And then we did, the police designed a specialist course for us, which is to police class 1 standards. But it's a week shorter than the police course because they do stopping of suspect vehicles and things like that, and we didn't have to do that, obviously. Right. So yeah, it were a great course.
So you're basically a police-trained motorcyclist, aren't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, that's all from Two Wheels for this week, but on next week's show we send guest presenter Jane Amorabit down to a very remote airfield to try her hand at a wheelie school. And Jeff managed to sneak the Two Wheels cameras into the grand opening of Ducati's first official UK dealership.